What's up, everybody? This is Jonathan, and I want to explain some of my ideas for a concept of an RPG that I actually kind of want to work on, but the thing is, trying to manage different things. I'm sort of trying to get into Flash, but it's I did work with Flash for a while, but I'm trying to get into ActionScript 3, which I'm told is better and things like that, which it actually is, but there are a lot of things that are just really different, and some of them are kind of complicated, so I get frustrated with it. I'm actually already working on another project in Flash, so I'm probably not going to be working on my concept if I ever get around to it for a while. But anyway, in the tags, I'm probably going to tag this video with a lot of references to popular video games, not because I'm trying to get more views for my video, but because I'll actually be discussing a lot of the features in different games and trying to kind of combine them, rearrange them, and rework them to create another game, or at least a game concept. So basically, and by the way, the game in the background is Sid Meier's Civilization 5 with the Gods and Kings expansion, and I've already done another video. I'll probably link it in the description. Basically what I was talking about in that video is that a lot of people hate the game because they changed so many things that made Civilization so good as a series, and a lot of the old school Civilization fans out there, when they got Civilization 5, they probably looked at it and played it for a while and then was like, wow, this game is different, they changed so many things, therefore I don't like it. Which I actually like Civilization 5. I think a lot of the changes they made are actually very good changes, but that's just my opinion. And basically my conclusion in that video was, if you didn't like the game before, Gods and Kings expansion is not going to save it, which a lot of people think it'll do. They think, you know, of the re-adding religion and spies, that means it'll make it a good game. Not really, because they work with the same formula, and religion and spies are just completely reworked, which I actually prefer the new religion and spies mechanic over the old one because it's just easier to use. I think it's more strategic as well, and it's more useful. At least religion is. I haven't gotten much into spies yet, but I hated the way religion worked in Civilization 4 because it solely affected your relationship with other civilizations. It didn't do anything to boost your, anything, so it wasn't very strategic. And most of the time it worked against me because a lot of times I would try to get certain text that I didn't necessarily want just to be able to get a religion and be able to use it, and then other civilizations that would have been my friends are now my enemies just because I have this other religion that doesn't actually do anything. But anyway, okay, on to my concept. So basically first I want to talk about how I kind of came around to these general ideas. And the answer to that would be, the thing is, I'm a little bit into different MMOs. I have played some, I'm still kind of playing some, but I haven't really gotten into any particular one, at least not in a while. One main problem I can see with most MMOs is just the equipment system, for one thing. Everything is like, you put on this heavy armor, but somehow it gives you dexterity and speed, and I guess you could argue, well, it's a magical item, but not all games say that it's a magical item per se. It's just, oh, somehow this heavy armor, this big armor plating gives you extra speed. What? It's like, here, put on this big piece of metal, it'll make you faster. No, it won't. That's not the way it works. I think an MMO should retain a little bit of fantasy and things like that, which I'm not saying necessarily stat boosts are bad for getting, for like equipping different things. There should definitely be stat boosts, but stat boosts should fit what the item is. For example, if you put on gloves, they may increase your strength because, in theory, if these gloves give you a better grip on your weapon, you can hit harder. Or, maybe these gloves are more flexible, so they give you more dexterity. So you can really, control your movements with real fine motions and things like that. So, there'd be, as far as equipment in this concept for this RPG, there would be gloves that boosted your strength, and there would also be gloves that boosted your dexterity and things like that. But then actually there would also be gloves, maybe these same gloves might actually reduce certain things. Now, most gloves wouldn't actually reduce things like strength and maybe magic or something like that, because Well, the thing is, a lot of games have, well, RuneScape, for instance, has a very basic armor system. It's like you're either wearing heavy armor, or you're wearing light armor, or you're wearing mage stuff. And of course, light armor reduces your magical ability a little bit, and heavy armor reduces pretty much everything. But the trade-off is that you have excellent damage protection, at least from, you know, melee and ranged attacks. So their equipment system is actually pretty solid. It's a very basic equipment system, but you know, RuneScape is so expansive that, you know, there's just so many other things in the game. But don't get me wrong, I don't actually like RuneScape, mainly because I don't generally like games that require you to pay monthly. I prefer a game that allows you to either pay like for individual things, or you could pay monthly. And generally I go for the paying for individual things because that's usually cheaper, and I just, you know, live with not having extra whatever that, you know, premium players get. So yeah, RuneScape, there are a lot of things wrong with RuneScape. Don't get me started on RuneScape, actually. But RuneScape's armor system and things like that are something I actually kind of admire because it's very basic and down to earth. There's no, you know, like, you've got this armor piece and this armor piece, and this one gives you plus 1% critical chance and blah 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 blah. It's just so complicated. And that's actually part of the immersion that a lot of people get into with MMOs. They're like, you know, well, I could suit this thing, and this gives me, you know, plus 1% critical chance. And, you know, someone who doesn't play MMOs would be like, wow, that's like nothing, plus 1%. Well, yeah, but let's say you have a helmet and gloves and armor and leg braces and a necklace and a ring and greaves that all give you 1% each. That's what, about 8, 9, 10% crit bonus, and that's a big deal. And that's the whole, you know, idea behind equipping these different item sets that give you these different bonuses. It's that, you know, you're meant to equip this one and this one, and they total up to boost criticals or whatever your class is supposed to be good at overall, instead of like picking and choosing. But like I said, the problem with this is that it often gets really complicated, and it's just being done in every, and I mean literally every MMO, and it's kind of getting old for me. I don't know about other people, maybe other people just don't think about it as much, but it gets kind of annoying for me. So basically, my concept, and it's actually a very similar concept to another Flash RPG that is in development right now. Don't ask me when it's coming out. I have no idea. I don't even think the developers know. There's a demo out right now. It's called Ortus. It's spelled O-R-T-U-S, and it's being made by Jazza Studios. Well, actually, it's just Jazza, and, you know, he just calls himself Jazza Studios. He really just partners with other people, so it's just him and then whoever he decides to work with. But anyway, he's an Australian, primarily an artist, but he does voice acting. He does all kinds of things, actually. He's a music performer as well. But anyway, he explained in one of his videos that I was watching one time that, you know, armor will give you, and like I said, it was pretty similar to my concept that I actually had before. You know, I didn't actually take this from him. I'm just making it clear that I had already kind of had this idea. It's just that when I saw the video, I was like, thank you, finally someone agrees with me. But, you know, basically how it would work is kind of like RuneScape. If you put on heavy armor, well, this isn't how it is in RuneScape, but, you know, just the fact that it's really basic is similar to RuneScape. Heavy armor will, of course, slow you down. It might actually reduce some other stats, maybe like dexterity and things like that. Now, in this concept, I would prefer to avoid the whole bonus to crits and bonus to this and this, and just solely focus on stats. What my concept is designed around is actually being more focused on stats than anything else. So if your stats and your skills are solid, even if you don't have a better weapon than the guy you're facing, you can still beat him down because your skills are slotted and organized better. You have better strategy. Even though his sword may be 20% more powerful and 10% faster or whatever, you could easily beat him down by just countering at the right time, evading at the right time, etc. Now, as for Well, actually, I don't think I've explained enough. Basically, my weapon system would be like, of course, all the different weapons would be balanced in theory, but, you know, it wouldn't be necessarily that, you know, daggers could go up against a great sword and you would win, necessarily. It would be a very team-based game, which a lot of MMOs already are, but the thing is, you would actually be... It actually has a lot of the same concepts as a lot of first-person shooters, like take Team Fortress 2, for example. You've got different classes in the game that are only good in certain circumstances, unless, of course, you're up against total noobs who have no idea to play the game. As a spy, you generally don't want to go out in the middle of the battle shooting, even though you do actually have a pretty powerful gun. You just have so little health and you're so exposed that you know, you can't usually be effective in that manner. Now, a lot of people are very good at this. They use the ambassador to snipe or something like that, which I find kind of dumb. It's like, why not go sniper? It's better for sniping, but a lot of people actually get good at that strategy. But anyway, your strategy as a spy is to take enemies by surprise. Wait until a heavy weapons guy is distracted, that way he won't hear you uncloak and you can stab him, and then, you know, just move on to the next guy. Oh look, I see a teleporter over there, let's go sap it because the engineer's nowhere around, and, you know, their teleporter's going to be down for as long as the engineer takes to put it back up. You know, and there are so many other things that I can't even begin to explain about Team Fortress 2, but the reason Team Fortress 2 is such a good game, at least in my opinion and a lot of people's opinion, is for a number of reasons, actually. Very class-based, it's very situational often, which is good. It's very strategic in a lot of cases. The only time it's not really strategic is if you're just like running over the other team because they make poor decisions, for example, which is actually very popular in that game. It's very important to have class balance. It's very important for people to actually know what they're doing. A lot of people want to go running around killing people. That's the thing about Team Fortress 2. There is no team deathmatch, at least not by default. You may join a server that's modded for team deathmatch, but it's generally not fun because most people are going to play a class that can kill easily. Certain classes aren't necessarily designed to kill easily. Some are designed to be able to capture points faster. Some are designed to provide tactical support. Well, actually, I say tactical support like it's some kind of advanced warfighter game. Really, it's not. It's like when I say tactical support, I mean like if you have a microphone as a spy, you might be like, by the way, you've got an uber heavy coming in, you know, which is a bad thing. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm trying to come up with a concept that sort of merges the good things about an FPS and the good things about an MMO or just any RPG and kind of merge them and create a game out of it. You know, skills that don't necessarily... Well, before I get into that, there's actually another concept from Team Fortress 2 that I really like, and that's the concept of unlocking not upgrades for your character, like, you know, at least almost any first-person shooter like Call of Duty. Well, you level up and you get the scope. It's way better than using iron sight, so why not? Battlefield 3 is the same way, or any of the Battlefield games are the same way. Most first-person shooters that have any kind of unlock system, you're basically unlocking better weapons. In every respect, they're better, at least if you use them properly. And the thing about Team Fortress 2 is when you unlock and, you know, find or craft weapons, most of them are side grades, and if they're not side grades, they usually get nerfed later on, because sometimes, you know, the developers will release a weapon and everybody's like, what the hell, you know, there's no penalty for this gun, it's overpowered, everybody uses it, and it's really dumb. And then the developers usually, they get to a point where they're like, yeah, you're actually kind of right, let's nerf this. That happened with the Natasha, which is a different version of the minigun that the heavy weapons guy gets. It used to be that thing had, I believe it had no, it didn't have the same power. It dealt less damage, but the thing is, what it does is it slows the target down with every hit, and it would slow you down so much you could practically not move. Even if you were the fastest character in the game, the scout, you could not move if you were getting shot with that thing. And they eventually nerfed it so that not only does it not slow you down nearly as much, it also takes longer to spin up, and as a result, not nearly as many heavies use that anymore. I'm talking a lot about Team Fortress 2. But there are a lot of concepts of Team Fortress 2 I like, which is why I'm talking about it so much. But anyway, the concept of side grades could be applied to abilities and skills so that you don't necessarily need a mana bar that depletes. Because one really annoying thing about actually most MMOs, is that you have this skill bar or mana bar or whatever they call it in this particular MMO, and it just goes down, and you eventually need to either consume a potion or something like that to regain power, which there's not necessarily anything wrong with that system. I just don't like having to rely on on consumables. I'd rather be able to defend myself without the use of consumables. In fact, in this concept, I would try to limit, as much as possible, the consumption of being redundant here, consumption of consumables to the point where they're just not effective, or at least that they're either rare or not as effective as they are in other games, or just like so expensive that it's only a last resort thing and you would not use it unless you like absolutely had to. Either that or it gives you a penalty so that again, you only use it when you have to. For example, a potion that restores your health, but in turn you are, or like once it wears off, your health goes back down or something, you know, something like a temporary health boost that you only should use if you need just a little more health to finish a battle.